I'm feeling pretty good. It is familiar confines for these drivers tonight, a pairing in which um, will be very familiar for anybody who gets on the iRacing service and decides, "Hey, I want to race street stocks." You're often going to be plopped at this racetrack, Charlotte, and be able to maneuver this track. We're going to talk a lot about the draft tonight. We're going to be able to talk about how these drivers are at liberty to make moves, but we're going to find out very quickly. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yes, absolutely. And so the real question for these drivers this evening is how do you manage your track position, right? Where it is so hard to pass here at times, unless if you are super comfortable with side drafting, being really aggressive on that high line. If you are out front, you're going to have to really manage your equipment well and keep that track position. So watch the guys towards the back be a little bit more frantic, tend to use up their stuff a little bit more so that they can sniff some clean air out front. That's going to make a huge difference here tonight.
Absolutely. And for those that were just here, my mic was having a little bit of an issue. Everything's fixed now. Once again, I'm Greg McConey. I have Zach Woods with me in the booth. These boys here are at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the SCL Street Stock Series. About 30 seconds left to practice. Now, you talked about this being, one of the premier tracks for NASCAR guys in real life. This is when they get to come here for the Coke 600. It's a crown jewel event. These guys, they only have 60 laps, kind of a mini crown jewel, I guess, a gem in a sense for these guys here tonight.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it for these drivers that are racing in this particular discipline. They're not really used to this long of a distance race, we'll put it that way. Perhaps you might get more laps on a smaller racetrack, but here at Charlotte, 60 laps is a pretty big deal. So, how are you going to manage your equipment underneath you in what is a crown gem race? I like that.
That's what we're going to go for it as tonight, folks. The real name for this race is the Navy 100. Big thank you to any military members out there and their families. Right now, we are looking at the 12 of Kenny Tripp as he gets out. Barrett Flo, he was in position to win last week, but he got knocked off with about 24 laps to go. Got a little bump and run. And we're going to wait and see. By Brandon Varney was the one that gave him that bump and run. And we're going to wait and see exactly what happens between those two tonight. Barrett was on pole and currently is out for his first lap here at Charlotte. You see these guys really hugging that bottom lane. That's going to be the preferred lane while the tires have a ton of grip, but give it a little bit of time and these guys are going to start drifting up to the wall.
Absolutely. You're going to slip and slide quite a bit here. Track conditions tonight certainly will provide some great racing early on in the run when the cars have huge grip. But as it does wear on throughout the night, you're going to see people start slipping up from the bottom, and perhaps keeping that car wound up in the middle higher lanes is the way to go. Certainly not during qualifying, but out for your warm-up lap, that's probably the right way to do it.
Absolutely. Barrett Flo still your leader after his first lap with a 36.81. Perry Vance currently sitting in second with a 36.83. Todd Merkel rounds out third with a 36.83 as well. So we win. What we'll do is we weren't able to get Kenny Tripp last time we were together. So as he's rounding out to finish his second lap, as Barrett Flo has turned to 36.80 his second time around, still sits on pole. Josh Terrett Hill turned to 36.8 as well. Brandon Varney now jumps up to the top shelf. He will lead with a 36.75, your current fastest driver. So, as I was saying, we weren't able to get Kenny Tripp last time. So what we're going to do is he's done currently with his qualifying event. If I can pull him up. He's just turning some practice laps now. So we're going to pull him in real quick to the booth. Kenny Tripp, Greg McConey, and Zach Woods up in the booth. Man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
We weren't able to get you last time when we were racing at Lanier. You came home with a third-place finish. From what you remember about that race, tell us how that car felt for you.
The car felt really good. Surprisingly, I was surprised the outside groove didn't come in the way I expected it to. But I had a lot of technical difficulties that race with between the mic and losing power right at the end there. But no, it was all in all a good race. Definitely was, a little rowdy in the back, a little bit, but track position was definitely key at that track.
Absolutely, man. So you guys go from a short track at Lanier, fairly flat for the most part. Now you guys come to the 1.5 miles at Charlotte. What have you done to prepare for tonight's race?
This is more of a mental game than anything. You just gotta stay out of trouble, know your surroundings. It's still early season, so there's a lot of new guys coming in. You just got to know who you're racing with and how much you can actually push and shove and be pushed and shoved. But there's a fine line.
Absolutely, man. Well, you put down a pretty fast lap right now. You're sitting in P7, not that far off from your leaders. So as you get out there, what are your expectations for this car?
I historically don't do well qualifying on these plate tracks, but gonna hopefully stay low for a little while and play it out. If I'm getting a little uncomfortable, I'll just drop down and fall back.
Well, Kenny, we appreciate you being able to jump up here with us after you finish your qualifying. Good luck out there tonight. Keep that car safe, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again after the race.
Yes, definitely looking forward to this race, and hopefully it ends the way I hope, and I will be talking to you.
Sounds good. Have a good one, man.
Thank you.
Well, Zach, that was third-place finisher from Lanier 2 weeks ago in Kenny Tripp. And right as we finish up with him, qualifying has ended, and we'll pull up your starting grid. Sitting for you tonight on pole is Elijah Garcia. Sitting in P2, Brandon Varney. P3, Darrell Redford. Chris Myers rounds out row 2. Row 3, Barrett Flo and Josh Terrett-Hill. Row 4 is Kenny Tripp. We just talked to him. He's looking forward to tonight's race. And on his outside is going to be Alejandro. We were talking on this one before, Zach. We believe it's Montes Dioca, I believe.
Montedoja, maybe. We'll have to root up here in the booth for the number 855 machine so we can talk to him maybe perhaps after the race so we can get some clarity there.
Absolutely. Row 5 is Perry R. and Todd Merkel. Austin Winch and Jeffrey R. round out row 6. Row 7, Joshua Dube and Kevin Preston. David Hanna and Andrew Miller round out your top 16. Brian R. and Jesse R. round out your top 18 drivers here. P19 is Todd Russ with Eli Raposa in P20. Zach, why don't you take P21 and finish us out to the end?
Matthew Phaneuf is going to start 21st. 22nd is Joshua Broadwell. Shane O'Neill and TJ Moon start behind that pairing in 23rd and 24th. 25th will be Nasir Navarrete, and then 26th will be Greg Birch. 27th is Mike Peters, who has no time tonight, as well as Bradley Stefan. So excited to get this one going. It was mentioned in our interview with Kenny Tripp that this is a plate track, and we don't often think of this like a plate track, but with this car track combination, that's exactly what this is. Drafting is going to be key. Who is your friend early on, and how aggressive are you going to be here at the uh, Charlotte Motor Speedway this evening.
And we appreciate the update in the chat. It is Gracia, not Garcia, Gracia, like gracias without
Oh,
the S. Thank you for that. I will make sure we've got that noted down for Elijah here tonight. Your pole sitter. Let's take a look real quick at the info for tonight's race. 76-degree ambient temperature, 46% humidity, 9-mile-an-hour winds. That's going to be a little bit tricky for some of these guys tonight.
yeah, especially with the kind of cars that are going to be out there with these things aren't exactly uh, brick houses, right? That they're driving around the racetrack. These are fairly light machines, and to be able to maneuver around this racetrack around the drivers is bad enough. Now you're going to throw in a pretty hefty 9-mile-an-hour wind around this place. Drivers are certainly going to have a lot on their hands.
Absolutely. And we talked about it a little bit before, is that you only have the set of tires that are on the car right now. The benefit is when you do go out and qualify, you do have a new set of tires from that. But going forward, now that we've started this actual race, what you've got is all you've got. You do have one fast repair, which will help. But in the long run, you've got to really watch these tires.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys are going to have to battle between themselves in terms of how hard you're going to push, right? You got to find who is on the same wavelength as you are when it comes to track aggression early on. Some of these guys who have qualified very quick, what's on their agenda tonight might just be, hey, I can't wait to just drop down in line and ride around. Well, I got news for you. There's some fast cats up here that I know want every bit of track position as they can. So you're gonna have to manage who has the right agenda as you do as you make your way around this place early on.
Absolutely. And we've got the pace car right now coming out of turn 3 into turn 4. Pace lights are on, but that pace car should be diving off here any moment. And Elijah Gracia is going to be leading these guys around one more time, as the pace car does do 2 laps tonight. They have extended the caution to go to 2 versus 1. So as we see the pace lights go off, once again, Elijah Gracia and Brandon Varney are your top 2. Your second row are Darrell Redford, Chris Myers, and Josh Terrett Hill, and Barrett Flo round out your top 3 rows tonight. And the big thing to remember, green flag only laps. So whatever happens with any incidents, any yellows, so it's not just 100 miles tonight. You're going to be running a lot under caution.
Oh, let's not assume such things, but hopefully these drivers will keep their minds about them. I think that a big challenge for them is coming up right here. I watch these guys practice restarts extensively during practice, and let's just say sometimes they got it down really nice, and then sometimes they didn't. So it's going to be a mixed bag here coming to the green.
Absolutely. As that pace car gets ready to pull off here tonight, we've got our leaders in the 42 and the 1 taking us to the green flag. We'll pull the ticker back up as the green flag is in the air. Elijah gets a good jump on the outside, but Brandon gets a huge bump from that 24 of Chris Myers to keep him side by side as they go diving off into turn 1.
Barreling down into turn 1, they are 2 by 2, quite a number of rows back, and we get to see here. Wow, already? Yes. They're barreling down here in the backstretch. There was a bit of an incident towards the back of the field.
Yes, we are under yellow, so we'll go back and look at exactly what happened. It looked like a little bump gone wrong. We're looking back with David Hanna right now. Ooh, the 21 machine of...
That's Josh Terrett Hill.
Yeah, that was the 21 of Josh. Ended up getting loose coming around. And we've got a lot of other drivers. We'll go back and look from Josh's view. He just got a bump, a big stack up on that outside line. Looks like he may have missed a gear potentially. And that just caused a huge checkup in the outside line. And once they got back to Josh's rear bumper, there was just nothing he could do as that car was unloaded. So we'll go back up front now, still looking at Elijah Gracia. He will still be the pole sitter. We have completed one of the 60 laps here tonight. So even though the ticker is counting down, that's something that SDK doesn't necessarily like very much. When these guys do go and green flag only laps, we see it from time to time, but that will work itself out as we get going.
So again, as this race wears on, these drivers are going to have to manage how their restarts happen, right? Where, of course, the benefit we got to see being aggressive in the first two rows, right? You got a huge push, and sometimes that push really sets you up for some big gains in the next lap or so, depending on what the driver behind you winds up doing. However, it might also be wise here early on, perhaps not stack as closely up, because you never know when the guy 3 rows in front of you, as in this caution, misses a gear, and there's no time to react. So going to be interesting to see how aggressive these guys are in terms of stacking up and getting ready for restarts.
Absolutely, and it's a big field tonight. There's 27 drivers on track. Bradley Stefane is the only one that did not take the green flag tonight. Matthew Fanoff, I believe is how you pronounce it. Fanoff. Yep. He decided to start from pit road, so he is currently 1 lap down, but that will all even itself out here very shortly. Once we get going again, if there is another yellow, he should be getting the wave around as long as he is not involved in the incident. And we see these folks still rolling single file tonight. And I believe they do have a single file restart, unless that was just what they were doing at Lanier for it being a short track.
Well, yes. So here at the Street Stock Series, at least in terms of how long I have been commentating these guys, which, believe it or not, is not infinitely longer than what you have done. But yes, so we have old school restarts here where these drivers are single file, and then on the inside of the leaders, you will have lap down cars. So again, the pushing and shoving is really going to take place depending on what you've got made up in your mind you're going to do on these restarts. Are you content in pushing the guy in front of you? Or as soon as the start finish line flies, are you going to dive down to the inside if there's room and be aggressive? Or perhaps are you going to be just content and riding along and hope that you're not going to get blown by? Those are the decisions that are very unique to single line restarts. I'm excited to see that here tonight.
Absolutely, I fully agree. It's not something that we see a lot of leagues put into play, but it is one that when it's executed well with the drivers, it can make for some fantastic restarts. I used to do an IndyCar league before the big iRacing deal that happened and discussions and such with IndyCar, where they did single file restarts, and at some of these tracks where they went, it was remarkable watching the moves that these drivers decide to play and games that happen. And we're going to see right now Elijah Gracia is going to be leading us back to the green. It's on his choice on when he wants to go. As we see the pace car dive off, that 42 holds him up, holds him up, holds him up. Big stack up there. Look at that. And we got spin. That's the 92 of Barrett Flo that went around.
Oh, they're still stacking up. Oh, the 85's in it. Wow, look at this.
A lot of drivers got caught up in that. Let's go take a look and see exactly what happened one more time as the green flag came out. You see that 92 just anticipated it wrong, and Kenny Tripp in the 12, you know, once again, it's it's a gamesmanship that the leader gets to play in these single file restarts. You know, if they don't go right off the bat, they can hold up the field, and everybody else has to be mindful and watch that.
Yeah, and I think you just said it the best. You got to be mindful, right? Where if you are 12th, 13th on the racetrack, you shouldn't be looking up to the leader, right? You just need to be looking at the car right in front of you. If that car's not going, you don't have to run over them. And unfortunately, the further on back in the field, as you can see here on the replay, guys just kind of piling in. You don't have the advantage of seeing what's going on. You're so far back on these single file restarts. You're just kind of assuming everybody gets it right.
Absolutely. We'll take a look from Eli Raposa, looking up at his camera from the chopper as all of this was going down in front of him. Tries to dive to the bottom in that 33 machine, but just kind of got caught up there. Nothing he could do. Let's see, I believe we got a couple cameras on some of the noses of these cars. Ooh. That was a big hit. That's off the nose of Joshua Bradwell in the 802 machine. Nowhere for him to go once that all started stacking up ahead of him.
Well, your heavy hitter that is on pit road because of all that would be Barrett Flo. I would have picked him as a favorite for tonight, but he's now going to be in the back of the field.
He is, and that may not be too bad because if you see, he still has damage on the left side, but he hasn't burned that fast repair yet. And it's going to be key. He has smoked the tires a bit, but if he can get those cooled back down, I think he'll be okay for the long run. Because a lot of... Go ahead.
Oh, Barrett's the kind of driver I've watched him quite a bit. He's very content and just kind of riding around, but he's also very quick. And for him to be at the back of the field, here he is going down pit road again for some repairs. His goal right now is to not go locked down, right? He wants to do as much damage repair as he possibly can on that 92 machine, and he's content. He's not a driver that's going to panic being in the back of the pack. He's not going to do anything foolish trying to make his way back up through the field. He knows the task in front of him now, and with a race that only green flag laps count, he's got some time. So there's some quick repair, and he's on his way.
Absolutely, and that time around he did burn that fast repair, so he must have had some sort of wheel damage or motor damage with that, so he's going to be back to full power right now. Your leader is still the 42 machine, Brandon Varney, last week's winner, currently sitting in second place, followed third by Alejandro, Joshua Doob sitting in fourth, and Kevin Preston sitting in fifth. Rounding out your top 10 is going to be Andrew Miller in 6th, Jesse Carpenter 7th, Todd Russ 8th, TJ Moon 9th, and Greg Birch should be rounding out your top 10. And as all of this is going on right now, we will just sit on Greg as we wait for SDK to catch back up with us going to lap 3. We've completed 2. We are getting ready to start the 3rd lap. This time by with the lights on the pace car being off. I'm going to wait and see what these drivers are going to do this time around under another yellow, or on another restart, I should say, as they get ready halfway down the back stretch. Zach, why don't you take us to green this time?
Pace car with the lights off. It's going to be guiding this field down to the green flag. As illustrated earlier, we've only completed a couple of laps here at Charlotte. Hopefully that is going to change soon as the pace car looks to be headed off of the racing surface down on pit road. It will be Elijah Gracia, making his way towards the green flag. He's got a mirror full of Brandon Varney. No gamesmanship this time, right on green. The 42 is going to take them across the line, and we're going to begin here racing at Charlotte.
Absolutely. Single file diving down into turn number 1. You see back with the 25 and the 855 machines are the two closest fighting for position up at the front. A little bit further back, too wide as some of these guys battle it out for position. Elijah still your leader as they go diving off into turn 3, but Brandon Varney hot on his heels.
The front two have a really good opportunity right in front of them right now to break away from this pack. You don't really think about it, but two-car tandeming in the face of a pack that is battling is a viable strategy here at Charlotte with these street stocks. So if you can get hooked up here, you can be able to scoot away from the pack a little bit.
Absolutely, and that looks exactly like what these drivers are doing, pulling out to a second right now over Alejandro and Josh, and that 718 of Kevin as well, trying to thought about going 3 wide there, going down the backstretch, decided better of it, and lets the two ahead of them battle it out. As we see the 76 slides up into the wall, that was Andrew Miller. Not a lot of damage, just kind of scraped it. He should be good to go to continue this race.
Yes, and you get a little bit too high in the corner. You get into that marble stuff. There's certainly room up there, but it's not the best drivable area for you to make your way around this track, as he's right back on that white line. Look at him rebounding great off of that mishap. He's got a big hornet's nest in front of him and one behind him. I think that's a really good place to be if you're Andrew Miller.
You talked about the tandem that Elijah and Brandon were doing up front. You look back in 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th are all set in a tandem draft. That's something you don't normally see, especially out of street stocks at a place such as Charlotte. You know, is being able to do this tandem draft, and it's something I haven't seen in years, and I love it, as we do have a yellow.
Yes, and this will stem off of Todd Russ, I'm sure. Yes, there's the 45 going backwards, or the 49 rather, and then there's Perry Vance making his way to the inside fence, and then it just kind of cascades off of that. But this wreck actually happened around the 6th position, involving what is the 90 the 49 car of Todd Russ. So if we could find his first incident, he was making his way through the tri-oval before all of this, and he was battling about for the 8th position and was just losing it.
Yeah, let me see. I think I've got part of the incident here.
Yep, around here. Yep. See, that's already happened.
You saw. I'll go back. I'm going to do it the fairly unprofessional way, folks. We're going to go back with the rewind button. But you saw coming out of a little bit of contact there with that 51 machine. Just enough, nothing malicious, nothing harsh, but it just shot the car into the outside wall. And if you watch this 49, as he gets back into the wall, you see some sparks coming out the right side of that machine, which tells me his right front tire and suspension is completely gone on that. There was nothing the 49 of Russ could do.
Yeah, and then the rest of the field, you know, you're cruising back there. Everybody kind of sorted themselves out. It's a tricky part of the racetrack to see something as a driver that is different than what you're used to. Look at this hit. Just cutting across your nose. Great save by Shane O'Neill, not making that any worse than what it is.
Absolutely. A little bit of slide, but that should be all right for him. We're going to jump back up front here. They should be coming to the 1 to green, I believe, this time. So we'll hang out here and see exactly what we are in for. We got a good set of runs. We saw this tandem draft start to form, and it goes back to, for those that were watching NASCAR at the time, it goes back to the Car of Tomorrow era and the early Gen 6 era, where tandem drafting was the only way to get around super speedways.
Yeah, and I really like this car track combo with the street stocks and coming back here to Charlotte and being able to hold these things wide open. And on the surface, to an average fan, you take a look at that and you go, "There's not a lot of skill involved." Well, I beg to differ. I think you got to find your drafting partner that works well with you. And if you have the opportunity to get away from the field, you can do that. But those opportunities are so unique where everything's got to line up. We saw third and fourth place really battle it out. They log jammed the field behind them. And instead of battling the leader, Varney said, you know what? Let's get away. That rarely happens in especially open servers, but rarely happens in leagues where you got a couple hungry guys up front want to be able to lead some laps. Good gamesmanship by Varney to say, I don't want to go for the lead right now. Let's get away from the pack and see what we can do together.
Absolutely. These guys are trying to get this long run going because that's where the advantage of tire saving is going to come into play. Not only do you have to worry about who your drafting partner is and the kind of speeds you guys are going to be able to put together, but you also have to worry about how am I not burning up my right front tire or burning up my right rear tire? How am I going to save this tire, be conservative, as well as being aggressive as a pusher? Or if you're the leader, how am I going to stay aggressive being the lead car in this tandem pack?
And something that you don't have to worry about, particularly if you are maybe mired on back in the field, is finding a draft partner, right? Your objective is primarily to just start logging laps and take the opportunities as they come. As you mentioned it, drivers are going to start wearing out their equipment. We got to see a couple instances where drivers are off that white line. That's when you pounce. That's when you make those opportunistic moves. You don't force something 15th, 16th, 17th. You're just kind of riding back there. And I think we're going to start seeing that here as SCL is getting ready to wind them up and send them off again.
Absolutely. Elijah is going to bring us back to the green flag here, this time to start lap 6. As he takes the green, we see a great single file restart from the top two leaders right behind them, a little bit of a stack up, and a battle forming between Kevin Preston in the 18 and TJ Moon in that 890 machine. TJ is up 18 positions from the start of this race, Zach.
Yes, and it's really a matter of not getting involved in the wrecks that have been happening around him. He's done an excellent job at wreck avoidance to make his way through the field. Now he's going to try to test his car on speed.
Absolutely. We see the leaders right up front pulling themselves away, doing this tandem drafting that we've seen. Right back here, these guys fighting it out for third place between the 25, the 855, the 890, the 718, and that 20 and the 820 machine. All those drivers doing whatever they can to try and gain some sort of competitive advantage.
Absolutely. And you got to see right there Jesse Carpenter a little bit sideways in the corner in that 820 machine. Just a fraction of an inch too low and your car is going to go spinning around because that apron down there is very dangerous.
No, and as they go 3 wide here, that 820 machine makes a little bit of contact. More contact since the 718 into the grass.
No.
We're going to stay green as of right now. And the yellow has officially come out. We'll go back and take a look at what happened to Kevin Preston. You see just a contact there a little bit between the 820 and the 718 and just hard into that inside wall. Goes that 718 machine. And he has to stop and wait for everything to refire. And we see him turning, get that car going. Looks like maybe a little bit of suspension, and he does end up towing it back to the pits. A little too much damage to continue. So, Zach, as all of this is going on, we're going to let these guys get back in line and get up to the pace car again. We're going to take a quick commercial break, folks. You hang tight right there. We'll be back in a minute for the SCL Street Stock League racing here at Charlotte in the Navy 100 tonight. Welcome back, folks, to the Navy 100 here at Charlotte with the SCL Street Stock League. My name's Greg McConey, joined in the booth by my broadcast partner, Zach Woods. And, Zach, I believe you have the sponsor reads for tonight.
Yes, I do. SCL would like to send a special thank you to WJM Motorsports. WJM Motorsports is a team of professional and amateur virtual drivers, builders, broadcasters, crew chiefs, spotters, painters, and mechanics, all striving to win in glorious one-sided fashion. They provide extensive exposure for sponsors within real world and over the virtual racing world with an emphasis on iRacing. You can get your WJM merch and check out all the drivers and partners on the team, as well as finding more information about how you and your company can get on board with a rapidly growing, highly competitive iRacing team at www.wjmmotorsports.com or send an email to bill@wjmmotorsports.com. And then we're also, as we continue to make our way around Charlotte, going to be throwing this over to High Rock Vodka. High Rock Vodka is a premium handcrafted vodka, co-created by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Amy Earnhardt in collaboration with Sugarlands Distilling Company. The partnership between Dale, Amy, and Sugarlands was born from a mutual value, including a shared commitment to excellence and an emphasis on integrity and the importance on family. Again, that's High Rock Vodka, and we here at Sim Racing Media encourage you to drink legally and drink responsibly. We are back here under yellow flag conditions again here at Charlotte, and a familiar face here. Unfortunately, it's the 620 machine, slow here on the restart.
Yeah, we're going to go back and see what happened on the restart. Jesse dives it to the bottom underneath that 33 machine, gets a great launch, but has to check up and slam on the brakes to not get a black flag. And we're going to take a look and see what exactly brought it out from there. Oops, sorry about that. And the 820 machine pulls it off, and the yellow has come out for the night. Once again, as we are now on lap 10, Elijah Gracia still your leader. Brandon Varney, Joshua Dube round out your top three. Alejandro Montes. Alejandro, I'm sorry, man. I'm having a... We needed to get with him beforehand, Zach, to make sure we got the pronunciation of his name correct.
I'm just gonna say Alejandro Montedosha, and we'll make sure we'll pull him. You know what? How about this? We'll give Alejandro some screen time after this race, be able to pull him into the booth and talk to him about his night. Or perhaps, who knows, Greg, under one of these cautions, we might be able to phone him in and be able to talk to him during the caution flag. We'll see if we can't make something happen for our viewers out here that are rooting for the 855 car.
Absolutely, and let me make sure I'm featuring that 855 car right now, that beautiful nationwide scheme on that street stock car right there. Got a lot of great looking paint schemes tonight here, Zach. I'm a fan of that 890 of TJ Moon right behind him. You get a closer look of that car. Oops. We're going to take a look and see if I'm able to roll around, which I am not, sadly. That's all right, though. Beautiful scheme on that car. We also have a few other paint schemes tonight. I'm trying to recall who had the Navy scheme. I believe it was... Is it Todd Russ? No, it was not. We'll have to take a look here, folks. But as we get back up front, beautiful 42 machine, the 7-mate machine of Elijah Gracia, still leading this field. Brandon Varney, last week's winner, still sitting in second place. He's been riding right behind Elijah. As we see the lights on the pace car are off this time, Elijah once again has the button to bring these boys back to green. Everybody riding that high line, not wanting to get passed up there. Elijah hits the gas pedal. We're back racing green here at Charlotte in the Navy 100. Elijah got a great jump that time, Zach. He's able to pull away by about 0.4 of a second over Brandon Varney as they go into one.
And instead of a 2-car breakaway, it is a 3-car breakaway because Joshua Dube had a fantastic restart, and it is now going to be 3 cars trying to make their way out in front of a field that's battling to one another. If you thought 2-car tandems were good, well, what about 3?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. That used to be the key for whenever you were racing the trucks and the Xfinity cars at super speedway races. It was 3 cars was the preferred. But as we see them go too wide on the outside, Brandon Varney makes his move going into turn 1, and he got Josh to go with him.
It's absolutely. How hard is this 42 going to fight on the bottom line? Pretty successfully here in 1 and 2. The run will come down the backstretch. You got to be aggressive with the side draft a little bit if you're going to make up some ground, but still side by side again going here into 3 and 4.
Little bit of a slip up there on the 25 machine of Josh Dube. He collects everything, keeps it going straight, and that allows the leaders to go side by side across the line, give the lap to Brandon.
Brandon's fighting really well here on this higher line. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. Commentator's curse. He's up there in the 3rd groove as he's going to get left out to dry by Joshua Dube, who now moves into 2nd.
Yeah, Elijah leading, Josh sitting in 2nd place. We've got a heck of a battle a little further back between everybody going from 4th place, I believe, all the way back through 12th. Right here, Jeffrey Beck riding right now in this 740 machine. I'm not sure why Trading Paints didn't get his scheme loaded. We'll try again during our next commercial break to get that paint scheme fixed for him. But we've got a huge gaggle of cars here. Mostly single file, but here's your 3rd place finisher from last week, Kenny Tripp, currently sitting in P9 as they go diving into turn 3. And while we've been looking at this battle, the battle up front has allowed Josh Dube to get up front. He is currently up 12 positions as he's going to lead them back across the line ahead of Elijah and Brandon.
Who needs a good qualifying effort? He's going to make his own ground as he's going to capture the lead here, crossing the line at lap 15, and we are under yellow once again here at Charlotte.
We are. We're going to go back and take a look at what happened to, I believe it was Andrew Miller that was involved with this wreck. Ooh. Got a tap there. Coming out of, big wreck there. We'll go back and take another look at that here in a minute. That happened. I need to back it up slightly, folks. Just gets down on that bottom line, holds it, gets a little bit of a tap here. Gets up into that outside. Ooh. And then you'll see here, as he's trying to save the car, the rest of that 2nd pack comes through and just nowhere for anybody to go. This is from John Broncasio's view. Got hit there on that outside line. Nowhere for him to go as he tried to avoid that spinning 76 car. We'll take a look one more time from the nose of his car. Slams on the brakes, got tapped in the rear, just nothing he could do.
Yeah, and these street stocks, you hit the brakes too hard, your car's already going to be wrecking all by itself. And so wreck avoidance of these machines are really difficult. It's not like you can stomp on the brakes and have the confidence that the car is going to remain straight, because more times often than not, it doesn't. It lurches to one side or the other. And depending on the racing surface, I have found it changes which way these machines like to lurch when they're under intense braking, and unfortunately that results in a bigger wreck on top of the wreck. So these drivers are going to stack them up again, and we're going to be rolling here for 2 laps under yellow, as the yellow flag conditions have been changed. Um, it's less time for these guys on pit road to get repairs.
It has, and the thing to remember, as we just took a look, currently coming off of pit road right now is Brandon Varney, your third place driver at the time, decides to come in, get a little bit of damage fix on that machine, and he's going to come out now somewhere around P15, I believe.
I hate this move. We got to see Barrett Flo. He was actually involved in that last incident, but he made his way through the field pretty, with pretty great skill, just outside the top 10. And it didn't take him a lot of time to do that. If you could avoid wrecks, it seems like that's tonight's strat, right? If you can avoid the wreck, you can make up a lot of ground. We see that especially from guys like Shane O'Neill, like Brian Branicasio, who is in second place. Or second and third place rather. But these drivers are gaining huge amount of ground, and I wouldn't say it's not because of anything they have done, because you have to avoid the wreck. But they're not making these passes necessarily under green flag conditions.
No, yeah, if you can survive the wrecks that we've seen here, and more the bigger wreck, which tends to be the folks trying to, like you said, hit the brakes and the brakes lock up, the car jumps sideways, and that's where we're seeing the most incidents happen, and it's not the fault of the drivers. It's kind of a mix of this car with the brake package that they have. It makes it a little offset, and especially if you're trying to run a little more rear brake bias in this to kind of coast and set yourself going into the corner, that's going to make that car want to jump out further.
Yes, absolutely. And for these drivers, maybe now it's a matter of, okay, how many laps am I just content to just sit back here and cruise, right? And I got to be okay with not making up ground right now, because at the end of the day, you only have one fast repair. And now the conditions to repair your car under yellow flag conditions have shortened. It's not necessarily a great combination to be super aggressive right now.
No, for sure. And up front, we do have our leader in that 25 machine of Joshua Dube coming around. He's going to lead this field back to the green flag. Now he's up front for the first time tonight. This is his first attempt at a restart from the pole. He's got to watch any bit of tire spin here, but we're going to see this 25 of Josh hold that field up, gets a good launch, kind of stacks fourth and fifth place up. As right now we see your top two break away. P3 of TJ Moon is able to pull away, and that 855 of Alejandro looks like he may have had a little bit of a checkup on that restart, as we see the 24 and the 2 of Chris Myers and Todd Merkel get around him.
Yes, Chris Myers is very quick. No matter what car you put him in, no matter what kind of track you put him at, that 24 machine at Garza Law Firm machine always finds himself in contention, as well as that number 2, Todd Merkel. These guys are very quick, no matter where they are. Unfortunately, bad luck tends to find them when it's not necessarily their fault, but tonight they've done a really good job at wreck avoidance and making their way now into the top 5.
Absolutely, and these drivers right now are currently fighting for fourth place. Your top 3 have broken away by a second at this point. And I've started seeing some guys running this higher line, Zach, and I'm seeing them start to get a little bit squirrely, especially in the mid-pack here.
Yeah, and that's a factor of, I don't want to be back here anymore, right? So I got to take whatever lane other people aren't driving. And whether that's because your car's not handling back in traffic right, or you're just not patient enough to sit around and ride for a little bit, that's a driver-by-driver decision to sacrifice handling for maybe some cleaner air, maybe some spots that are gained to get inside the top 10. course, it's not limited to just the mid-pack here, Greg. It's up here up front, too.
Absolutely. We see the 25 and that 890 machine riding down on the bottom. The 42 of Elijah Gracia is stuck up on that high side at the moment. But I think that high line is going to become more and more advantageous as this race wears on. And as guys start to burn up those tires, being able to kind of coast that upper line is going to be an advantage. Now, the big thing to remember, we keep talking as, oh, we see a big slide out of there. I believe that was Austin Winch in that 91 machine. Got real sideways coming out of turn 2. The big thing to remember is this is the legacy Charlotte. This is before they had the major repave a few years ago. And this track is very bumpy on that bottom line. And that top line does have a decent amount of grip, but it's a different angle of banking than the current configuration of Charlotte.
Yeah, you really got to be a wheel man if you want to be up there, because you're constantly sawing on that wheel, especially as the run wears along. Now, with these cars not, you're not driving 200 miles an hour around this racetrack, but you are going to be wearing down tire over a longer run. So the longer you hang up there, the less grip you're going to have, and more sawing on the wheel you're going to do. That means the cycle will viciously continue over and over again. So right now, it might pay dividends, but remember, you're not going to change your tires between now and the end. You're stuck with them for the whole race.
Absolutely, and that's why I like, as we see a car up in the wall there, potentially two. I believe that was the one of Brandon Varney, was the one that was just riding the wall in turns 1 and 2 there that last time by.
That might just be a product, Greg, of I'm back in traffic and I don't like how this car handles, right? Earlier we saw the one in the lead. We saw him in second, not really having to worry about anybody else around him. It's a whole new game back here. The air bounces off the car a lot differently, and these drivers are going to have to adjust accordingly when they're not up front.
Absolutely. That's a big thing that we're going to have to watch tonight, as we now see this second pack in that 24. They've caught the leaders. We see the 24 of Chris Myers try and get underneath that 890 of TJ Moon, but doesn't make it as they go into 3.
These 5 have worked really well together. They got in a line and bonded together and said, we are going to make our way to the front, as Chris Myers says to the 890, you don't need all 4 wheels on the ground. I got you. And ultimately gives him a huge shot in the tri-oval. Not necessarily what you want to be doing here.
No, absolutely. That's a place where that car really unloads. And if you hit that car ahead wrong, when that car is unloading, it is very easy to send that driver into the inside wall. As we start to see this second line form up now with 4 drivers on that outside. And if it were me, that's exactly where I'd want to be, because you can kind of pinch down a little bit if you're that 42 car, and you can kind of force the 25 and that 890 to burn their tires up a little more than they want to.
I think the 24 of Myers, the 2 Merkel. Oh, we have another yellow here on the racetrack. Oh, they're going to be wrecking here under yellow back behind them. That's the 91 and 227 machines.
We'll go back and take a look at exactly what happened with the 91 of Austin Winch and the 227 of Darrell Redford. I believe that wreck started, though, elsewhere. Let me take a look. I believe it happened back here. There's that. Let me see exactly what brought out this yellow flag. Looks like the 12 of Kenny Tripp was what brought the yellow out. Although he didn't seem to be involved.
I think it happened before that, Greg. The 2 cars we saw wrecking, that was already under caution. At least according to my timing of scoring. Of course, with street stocks in Charlotte, it's a mixed bag in terms of what you're going to be able to find. So let's take a look here.
Yeah, this was supposedly after the yellow came out. This was the 91 and the 227 cars going around on the backstretch. But I'm with you, Zach. I'm not seeing anything pop up Specifically, but this would be what caused
Be
that
it.
wreck. Looks like Jesse Carpenter in that 820 machine. No, not the 820. Jesse Carpenter. Yeah, it is
Yep.
the 820. We'll go back and take a look, and we'll back it up a little bit more.
Getting into the 49 machine here.
Yeah, trying to go too wide here. 820 has a heck of a run. We talk about just bumping somebody. When that car unloaded, he pushed the 49 up a little bit, went underneath to try and make the pass. Is unsuccessful, and then collects that 725 machine as well in that ordeal of Nasir Navarrete.
He just had nowhere to go, and ultimately was collected in an incident that wasn't his fault. And that will be it for a couple of drivers. I could imagine, or at the very least, they're going to be on pit road for a little while, Greg. We've seen drivers use their fast repairs already, and as talked about under the last yellow, because yellow flag conditions have now changed, they've gotten shorter. These drivers don't have a lot of time to repair their vehicles.
Well, the big thing that I'm starting to see with drivers coming onto pit road, as we look at the 25-year former leader in Josh Dube, are these guys now getting close on fuel, where fuel mileage is going to play a part in how this race finishes.
Possibly.
My thought is that's why we saw Brandon Varney come in the last time, was to take some fuel in order to guarantee himself to the end of this 60 laps.
Possibly. I mean, Charlotte is obviously a particularly large racetrack for these vehicles. I could definitely see that being an issue. So perhaps these drivers are managing their equipment in more ways than we thought of.
Absolutely, and that's something tonight that's going to be key, as I believe up front, the 24 machine of Chris Myers is your new leader over the two of Todd Merkel, as well as Greg Birch sitting right now in third place. Your highest running driver, or your highest position driver, is currently this 51 machine of Greg Birch, up 22 positions. Make that 23.
Greg's done a pretty good job tonight. We've seen him on pit road a couple times, just methodically working on the machine whenever he is in need of making necessary repairs. But let me see. Yeah, but he hasn't formally taken a stop.
No, he hasn't. And that is very interesting to see, because his car is completely clean.
Yeah.
And that tells me he has done exactly what you were talking about earlier, Zach, is keeping that car out of trouble. Just ride around for a little bit. It's a long race. Don't burn your fast repair just yet. And hang around, because right now you're up 22 spots, 23 spots, sitting currently in P4.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car. We do have a new leader up front. But it is someone who is no stranger for being up front. That's the 24 machine of Chris Myers. We're going to roll here and take the green flag back here at Charlotte.
A little bit of stack up there as we see the one of Brandon Varney try and make a move and time that restart. Was not able to do so, as now he is going to be too wide with that 855 machine. As they are going through turn one, he's got the help of the 12 of Kenny Tripp riding right there, trying to push him to the front.
So if you can find a partner that you're comfortable with, that two-car tandem is set to work. Of course, we have quite a number of race cars that are currently junk right now that can attest, hey, I have not found my partner yet, we've got a great battle here going on for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th back here.
Absolutely. It's a big group of cars here. But as this is all going on up ahead, we see the gap has now closed between Greg Birch and Todd Merkel, as well as to Chris Myers. That is now a 6-car group on the bottom line, and you see these two of Varney and Tripp doing everything they can, just slowly and methodically gaining position after position.
Absolutely. You have to be slow about it, right? You're not going to be able to gain it all back in one corner, but you might be able to get a fender in one corner. You might be able to get a rear corner panel in another corner, and that's how you make this high line work with this track car combo. As you see the 51, he thought about in the beginning of the trial moving up, wasn't quick enough. Ultimately, Varney's going to make his way around.
Absolutely, and Varney's going to have a great run and a big bump coming from the 12 machine here. And we were able to get a GoPro camera inside of that 12 machine of Kenny Tripp. As you just see how banked this car is on this gyro cam, this gyro GoPro that we've got. And look at how close he's getting to that 51 machine to his inside.
Look at the wall out there on that outside. And here at Charlotte, that wall tends to jet out quite a bit with the safer barrier coming in and out all the way through the tri-oval. There's a 51 sideways. Is he going to tap him? No. I wonder what's going on back behind him as the 51 of Greg Birch got a little squirrely back there. Wow.
He did. He's going to be in a 3-wide scenario with that 91 on the outside, not where you want to be when you're stuck in the middle, nor do you want to be that 91 stuck on the outside and having to lift, and he falls back a little bit. Decides to back that 91 machine up a little bit further. Does Austin Winch just kind of keep himself in position as we are getting close to the halfway point next time by. As up front, this group of 5 is really starting to put on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this.
3 wide.
Doesn't get much better than this.
No, and that 2 is on the apron.
Merkel!
He's got to save it. Does a great job saving that car. Does the 2.
Todd Merkel, good on you, man. He's been making his way towards the front. Somehow saved it in 3 and 4. But
He's
now
gotta watch out.
There's Joshua Doob.
Joshua just got hooked right there as they came across the start-finish line. We're going to go back and take a look at exactly what happened. So I got to back it up a little bit. And we'll see
He's here with the 718 machine. And ultimately tries to do a crossover. It's just there's no room there.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but as all of that was going on, what he was trying to do is dodge the spinning car of the 25. We go back one last time, and we will ride on board with that 718 machine. If I can find him real quick. There he is. You see Kevin just, while that 25 of Josh was trying to have missed that 2 car, he jumped up to the middle, just got a little bit high, and that 718 wasn't expecting him to come up as much as he did, and that's what caused that incident. But while all this is going on, we've reached our halfway point. We've got a couple sponsors we need to go pay a couple bills. Hang tight, folks. We will be right back for the SCL Street Stock Series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Navy 100. Welcome back, folks. We are getting ready to go green here at the Navy 100 with the SCL Street Stock Series. My name's Greg McConey, joined in the booth by Zach Woods. We thank you for joining us here tonight, as it looks like we are going to be going double file.
Nope, these are lap cars.
Ah, they are lap down cars having to race their way back. So they did extend the green one more time. So we will be going green this time by. We have officially completed 29 green flag laps. We will be taking lap 30 here once we get back to green. Your current leader is Brandon Varney. Kenny Tripp sits in P2. Chris Myers, P3. TJ Moon, Nasir Navarrete, and Alejandro Montes Dio. Alejandro riding in P6. Once again, man, I am so sorry. We need to get you on board with us next time so we make sure we have the correct pronunciation of your name. Greg Birch, David Hanna, Elijah Gracia, and Austin Winch round out your top 10, as all of those drivers are going to be sitting on the high side. The low side, like you said, Zach, are going to be your lap down cars racing for their way back, as we see the one gets ready to have that pace car pull off ahead of them. We saw this 1 and 12 machine do a great job before of being able to drive back to the pack. They link up, and we're going to see those two make a great move, very reminiscent of old school Daytona in the Gen 6 Cup cars, as they go diving off into turn 1. Everybody on that outside line fighting for position.
Absolutely, but boss man here at SCL, Josh Jarrett Hill, is not going to give that spot up very easily, and the reason is he wants his lap back, and he's going to get a great pusher behind him. That's the 24, Chris Myers.
Chris Myers currently fighting for position with those two ahead of him, as we see that 21 car now gets himself ahead, and he's trying to pull the 24 with him.
Getting his lap back the hard way. Josh Jarrett Hill is in the lead in terms of driving position, but he is now trying to maneuver his way as long as he can in front of these guys, so that he gets a lap back rather ahead of this field.
Yeah, he's sitting right now currently in P20, trying to get as many laps back as he can under green here. He's still got that 24 car. The 1 and the 12 are teamed up top on that high side as we finish lap 32 on to lap 33 here, as we've got a 3-car tango riding that top side. Make that 4 cars now.
And right now, if you're Brandon Varney, you're going, what do I have to do to get the lead? I've worked so hard. There's 4 guys behind me. There's only 2 guys on that low line. At some point, that high line's got to come in, you think. But ultimately, the pairing of the 24 and 21 just too strong on the bottom.
Yeah, those two doing a fantastic job up there to keep that 21 car as a lap back car. I'll say it that way. Still sitting in P20, not for position, but that 24 is doing a great job of using that 21 as a pusher. Even though that 21 has a little right side damage, the nose of that machine is clean, so he's working very well as a lead car there, as we see a little bit of contact in the back. Take a look back here. I believe that was the 28 machine of David Hanna got up into the outside wall there as they were coming through 1 and 2.
Listen, it looks like they're going to sort themselves out back here. They need to get in a line if they want to catch up to the front group, and I think that's exactly what they're fixing on doing.
Absolutely. All these drivers now riding single file here, as up front by about 3 seconds ahead of that group is your leader, Brandon Varney, as he's still trying to put that 21 another lap down and keep that 24 behind him.
It's a really interesting, let's just say, scenario that rarely happens in modern day racing, right? Where you get these lap cars up here racing this hard. Again, it's because of these old school single file restarts that then put the lap down machines on the inside, granting them the opportunity, if they got the car underneath them, to race with the big boys up front and try to get your laps back.
Absolutely. And with this being a crown gemstone event for these guys in this street stock car, they're giving it all that they can, knowing that with only 24 green flag laps left at the end of this lap, they have very little time remaining. And with the fact that you're turning, 36-second laps, time's winding down very quickly.
It's absolutely. And what the 21 wants more than anything is a yellow that doesn't involve him, right? He wants to be able to get that yellow when he is just ahead of Brandon Varney in that one. That means he gets his lap back. He's able to cycle back around and then try it all over again, right? He'll still be on the inside. He'll still be not on the lead lap. He'll have another opportunity to fight. That 21's got some speed. It's just he's on the wrong lap, and he's got a great pusher behind him. And ultimately, this pack of, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cars, and they are really putting on a great show up here.
Yeah, this group of 12, currently 7 lead lap drivers and 5 lap down cars, as these guys are still a lot of very close battling. That 21's got to hold that line. Did a great job, as we are now out under yellow. Looks like David Hanna had an incident. Let's go take a look and see exactly what happened to him.
And this is officially the caution that Josh Jarrett-Hill wanted. He will get a lap back, as he was in front of the leader at this moment, where the 28 of David Hanna meets the outside fence.
Yeah, it was kind of that slow, lazy spin. Just got tapped from that 718 on the left rear. Not much. That 28 of David doing everything he can to keep that car off the wall. Doesn't hit it too bad, and luckily those drivers that were trailing them saw the incident and gave him plenty of room.
Ooh, we were treated to some pretty good green flag racing right there. Got to see some strategy from both lap down cars and lead lap drivers. Good on Josh Jarrett-Hill to get one of them back the hard way. He'll have to try it again, but ultimately he's done the hard work one time. Now he knows he can actually get it done.
Absolutely, and the fact that that car is staying clean is all the more help to him to be able to keep getting lap after lap after lap back. He's still currently sitting in P20, the only car on his lap, but if he gets another lap back, there's 2 drivers in the 76 and the 98 that are both fighting for position themselves. They're only 1 lap ahead of Josh right now.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love being able to talk about this unique, different strategy with some of these drivers, and we're really thankful for the opportunity, Greg, to be broadcasting the Street Stocks. That's mainly in part of great sponsorship with SCL, and I want to talk to you about that here, Greg.
Please do, Zach. I'd love to hear about them.
One of the great sponsors for SCL is WJM Motorsports, and they are a team of professional and amateur virtual drivers, builders, broadcasters, crew chiefs, spotters, painters, and mechanics, all striving to win in one-sided fashion. They provide extensive exposure for sponsors within real world and over the virtual racing world, with an emphasis on iRacing. You can get your WJM merchandise and check out all the drivers and partners on the team, as well as finding more information about how you and your company can get on board with a rapidly growing, highly competitive racing team at WJMmotorsports.com, or sending an email to bill@WJMmotorsports.com. And then also, this league wants to be able to talk about High Rock Vodka. High Rock is a premium handcrafted vodka that's co-created by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Amy Earnhardt in collaboration with Sugarlands Distilling Company. The partnership between Dale, Amy, and Sugarlands was born from mutual values, including a shared commitment to excellence with an emphasis on integrity and the importance of family. Sim Racing Media and SCL Weekly Racing Series would like to remind you to please drink legally, and please drink responsibly. That's High Rock Vodka and WJM Motorsports. As we take a look here, Greg, at Matthew Fanuff, we also want to remind our viewers that this is the how did you call this, a crown gem event?
The Crown Gem event, yes.
For these street stocks, and they decided to take a look and really make this about one specific branch of the armed forces in the Navy. And we here at Sim Racing Media, we want to thank all the men and women that serve our country under the various branches of our military, some providing the ultimate sacrifice so that we can be free and do what we need to do here back at home. Again, thank you for all the men and women in arms protecting our freedom right here at home.
Absolutely, Zach. I've got some family that served in the Navy. I've got, and that's one of my favorite paint schemes to run come Memorial Day and come Veterans Day and all of those times. So that's the Navy is something special to me and my family. We've also got several family members in lots of different military branches. But once again, I echo your statement and the statement from SRM of thank you to all our military members and families. You have all given everything for us, and we want to be able to do what we can for you. But thank you all so much. And once again, this is the Navy 100 for the SCL Weekly Street Stock Series. As we've dubbed it tonight, a Crown Gemstone event, being only 60 laps, but these guys are putting everything out on the line tonight to bring this trophy home in such a special event.
And the driver that has been consistently quick is Brandon Varney in the number 1 machine. We did see him earlier on in this race kind of get shuffled back through the field, and I kind of questioned his handling on that race car, being able to maneuver his way through traffic. And ultimately, he made that choice. I'm going to go to the high line. I'm going to use that to get out front, and that's paying off in a big way for him out front here now with 23 to go.
Absolutely, it has. He's currently sitting as P1, up 1 position from where he started tonight. Your biggest movers at the moment are the 725 and the 890 machines, both of them up 20 positions from the start of the race here tonight. As we've got the pace car getting ready to pull off, Brandon Varney, your winner last week, looking to go back-to-back, or I'm sorry, from 2 weeks ago, looking to go back-to-back, takes that 12 of Kenny Tripp with him. Another great restart on that outside line, and those top 4 drivers have broken themselves away from that second pack and those lap-down cars.
Andrew Miller, the first lap-down car on the inside line, did not get going. That spells certain doom right now for those drivers who wanted to pull a Josh Terrell and get your lap back the hard way. So they got to fight to get back towards the front, but they're all going to have to work together if they want to catch this group of 4 that's now working to break away.
Speaking of Josh, he's sitting right there looking to go 3 wide. Thought a little bit better of it. Decides to push the 85 through there instead. He is currently sitting in P20 still, trying to get his lap back the hard way. But up front, this 4-car battle has broken themselves away as you see that 890 try and peek his nose on the inside of 24. Chris Myers just not close enough as they now come out of turn number 2 going down the backstretch.
Hey, Greg, if I gained 20 spots from where I started, I feel like I could do anything too. Great move there by TJ Moon, trying to take a peek for 3rd place. Thought the better of it and is going to be just content to maybe right around here with 20 laps to go. We have had a 4-car breakaway, rather, and now it's the 76 of Andrew Miller, who spun the tires subsequently on that last restart. He's now made his way back up, and he's going to try to get his lap back.
Yeah, Miller doing a great job right now, currently sitting P18. He is 5 laps down, I believe, at the moment from that lead group. As you see just behind him, that 21 car has made his way back into the lead position of lap down cars, I should say. He's looking to make his way back up front. But this 4-car battle right now, I've watched Brandon Varney get a little bit loose, especially coming out of turn 4. That car just likes to drift up the track right in the center, and you see that rear end kick out just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers right now are trying to hold on. We're getting later in the race. It's not handling very good. Now you just got to be a wheel man. You got to be able to saw on that wheel. We talked about earlier in the race how if you're driving that higher line, you were sawing on the wheel. Well, now you're doing it everywhere. You're doing it down the backstretch. You're doing it in the corners. It's really going to be taxing for these drivers for the next 20 laps.
Absolutely. We got 18 to go right now as they just cross that line. That second pack, led by Josh Terrett-Hill, is slowly closing on them. Once again, that won't be for position of Josh, but he's looking to be getting his lap back the hard way once again. And these top 4 drivers, you know, it's only been 42 green flag laps, but even just riding around under caution, you're building heat into those tires. And the more heat within this iRacing tire model, the more heat you put in, the quicker the fall off is and the looser that car is going to get.
Absolutely. And I think this is the equivalent, at least between the first 4, of the choo-choo train at Daytona, right? Where, okay, let's make a gentleman's agreement that says we're just going to behave and we're just going to log some laps. And if the second pack catches us, then we'll renegotiate our agreement and see what happens. But they look fairly content right now to just stay in line and maybe duke it out later.
Absolutely. Alejandro Montes de Oca and the 51 of Greg Birch currently fighting it out for 5th place right now in the second pack. Both of them are fighting to try and get around that 21 machine of Josh Terrett-Hill as he's closed back up on that 76 right now of Andrew Miller. This second group has caught the lead pack, and we're going to see a fight here in a few laps.
Overly impressed with both the 21 and 76 machines for different reasons. One, the 21 was able to get his lap back the hard way, and now he's going to try to do it again. And second, the 76 machine caught the front group by himself and was able to snatch back to a group of 4 who were working pretty well together. So both of those lap cars certainly have some speed. That might become a lead lap car's best friend towards the end of this thing.
Absolutely. And as all this is going on, we're going to jump back a little bit further. Look at this second pack here. These guys are 2x2 tandem drafting, trying to make their way back to the front. The biggest thing that I've seen as we got contact between the 22 and the 91 machine, both of them able to keep everything going straight. Who is that? That is Josh Terrett-Hill.
Yes, there's another driver also involved. Taking a look here, I think it's Greg Birch.
Greg Birch and the 42 of Elijah Gracia, the 25, several cars involved in that. And we'll go back and look at that one more time. It looked just like a little bit of a bump gone wrong as that 51 just gets into the left rear of the 21 as the 21 drifted up, checking up, watching out for that 76 machine. And both of those drivers go around. We'll look one more time, and we'll pull back on our chopper cam to see exactly what happened. Just nowhere for that 42 and 85 to really go there.
Alejandro also got a piece of that. I think he was able to keep it straight. Yes, he was. But did get a bump from that.
Yep, he did. The 725 of Nasir Navarrete involved as well, along with, I believe that was the 91 machine. Nope, that looked like the 85 of Perry Vance involved as well. He was one that kind of got pushed up into that outside wall. Well, we got 15 laps to go at the line. We're going to rack them, stack them, and do it again, Zach.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think that it's very clear you have a lot of strong, talented drivers that are lap down, and they're going to certainly play a factor into this race. Again, not something we normally see because of modern day racing rules. Gone are the single file restart rules in many racing disciplines. And now we get to see it unfold here for SCL Street Stocks here at Charlotte. Um, you take a look here at your top five. I mean, you got a guy that's been up front nearly the whole race. You got a guy who has the pressure of talking to us before the race started. You have another guy behind him who's been marred by bad luck in pretty much everything he has done, and yet against all the odds has kept that 24 car clean the entire race. Oh, and then by the way, fourth and fifth, those are your biggest movers of the race. So lots of storylines happening within the top five.
And not just that, the 51 machine of Greg Birch has not taken it down pit road once tonight. He is the only driver that has not made a pit stop at all. Everybody else has made at least one, if not multiple. So he has not taken any fuel on that machine, and he has done a fantastic job of keeping himself in position and strongly in position. He's been a top 5 car most of the night, has this 51 of Greg Birch, and done a fantastic job with it.
Absolutely. And just great effort by some of these drivers being able to put themselves in a position to win, right? But still a long ways to go. 15 laps around Charlotte, and these things, it's going to seem like a marathon. But the 76 here of Andrew Miller, he's going to take another bite of the apple and see if he can actually get a decent restart. We know that 76 has some good speed. He had a terrible restart, though, last time around that prohibited him from really contesting and making that move to get his lap back.
Absolutely. And that restart all started from the fact that 12-1 machine on the outside line teamed up and went at the same time. So the 1 machine of Brandon Varney was able to use the push from the 12 of Kenny Tripp to get a very effective restart and get both of those guys clear, along with the 3rd and 4th place driver of that inside lap down line. And as we see the pace car getting ready to come off of turn 4 once again tonight, we have 15 to go once they get back to the line. The 1 of Brandon Varney, once again in control, gets another great push from the 12. Those two working very well together on these restarts, and they're going to be clear by almost half a second as they go diving off into turn 1.
Absolutely. We got to see this front 4 work some magic on that longer run, that last green flag stint. I'd be interested to see that happen again as Brandon Varney, he's got to now focus on hitting his lines, right? Because Kenny Tripp's going to be there waiting for him to mess up. And ultimately, it's going to take one slip up, and that lead is gone from a guy who's been so dominant tonight.
Absolutely dominant tonight. Dominant last time out at Lanier 2 weeks ago. Kenny Tripp once again finished 3rd in that race. We talked to him pre-race. He had some technical issues and power issues right at the end of that event, so he wasn't able to talk with us. As we see the battle now between TJ Moon and Chris Myers, these two battling side by side coming out of turn number 2 as they go rocketing down the backstretch like this.
The 890 machine of TJ Moon using up Chris Myers, leaving the corner of turn 2, was able to lean on that 24 a little bit. But now Myers says, if you're going to shove me up here, I might as well make some ground. And he's doing just that here on the high line. Things are heating up here with 12 laps to go.
Big block from the 1 of Brandon Varney, leaves his drafting partner in the 12 on the bottom line. He throws the block on that 24 as, the 24 gives him a shot there in the middle of the corner, gets that 1 machine a little bit squirrely. That's going to give the lead to Kenny Tripp down the backstretch.
Do you hear the Jaws music? It's coming from 5th place, that 51 hot rod of Greg Birch. We talked about him under yellow. He's making his way back up to this front group.
Absolutely. We got a GoPro on his helmet one of those little mini cams that the Fox guys were talking about for the Cup Series. We were able to get one on Greg Birch's helmet, and you're going to see exactly what he sees as he fights in 5th place coming in through turns 1 and 2 right now. You hear the tires screaming right now on this 51 machine.
The effort from this 51 car, not going down pit road, keeping the car clean the entire race. Now he's the difference maker up here on this high line, being that 3rd car in line. Watch out for these guys up top making some moves.
Absolutely, and you talked about sawing at the wheel. You saw it there. As he enters into the corner, this car just loads and gets so squirrely on him. Right there, it hits that little hump, and the back end of this car just wants to kick out so badly. Greg doing a great job holding control there. As we look a little further back, as this battle goes on, we've got another fight here with the 25 and the 855. They're doing what they can to go catch that lead pack again, as they've broken away by by about a second and a half of the 9th place driver in Elijah Gracia. But as those 3 go, here's your fight right now. Brandon Varney has the lead going into turn 1.
51 did a really good move right there, in my opinion. He was able to get around the lap car there of Andrew Miller, maybe picking up a buddy now back behind him, saying, hey, I can get you up front. You just got to push me. And that might be the negotiating tool he needs, because right now he's got 2 cars tandeming up 2 by 2 in front of him. He needs a partner.
Absolutely, and he's in a spot right now that he's priming to see if that 3rd lane potentially will work for him with a lap or 2 to go, as we now have 8 laps remaining here. Your top 5 have broken away by the tune of 3 seconds to the 25 of Josh Dube, sitting in 6th place.
In the middle of turn 1 and 2, gets sideways. Somehow he saved it, and these guys going barreling down into 3 and 4. It's Kenny Tripp with a little bit of an advantage, as the high lines got to get sorted out and start making their moves inch by inch again.
Absolutely. These guys are really worn out their tires right now. You hear them screaming and squealing as the load is put on them, and they try and hold as much traction through the center of the corners, as we see the 1 is able to get a big enough push from that 24 machine. Not able to clear the 12, though, as we see Kenny Tripp fight back on that bottom.
Nobody has been able tonight to push as hard as the 24 of Chris Myers tonight. He has been the guy you want right behind you, but it's all going to boil down if Varney can keep the car straight.
Absolutely, and that 24 of Myers has to watch that hit on the left rear. We've seen that be a problem for so many people tonight and cause quite a few incidents, as we now have 6 laps to go.
I just don't know if Kenny's got the help behind him he needs out of TJ Moon. Maybe Moon's just kind of saying, I'm not going to push the issue right now. If we wreck, it won't matter. But ultimately, you gotta be aggressive here. There's 4 cars against 2, and the 2's winning right now.
Absolutely, but we see that was a big checkup that the 1 had to do to save that car. As he entered into turn 3, he got such a push from that 24. It got him squirrely as he came over the hump into the corner. But like you talked about, that 24 is all over the rear bumper of the 1. This 890 of TJ Moon needs to do the same to Kenny Tripp if they're going to have any shot to pull ahead.
And if you're Chris Myers, what do you do? You're stuck up there. You can't pull out and make your own move. If you abandon the 1, then you lose a drafting partner. He's not going to want to work with you anymore, especially if you wreck him. Here we are in 3 and 4 sideways, 24, looking to make a move here.
That's exactly what the 12 needed to see, though. He needed that 1 and 24 to get split up, and TJ Moon times the push perfectly. Kenny Tripp has the advantage going back into turn 1.
Unbelievable effort we're seeing here by the front 4, and the guy sitting in the catbird seat might just be Greg Birch. He says, my whole race has been dodging wrecks. I got 1 more left in my pocket if you guys mess this up, and he very well might be in position to win this race.
If not win, he's in position for a podium, as there's another big moment for that 1 machine as we see these guys come down to take 3 to go as they cross the line in the Navy 100 here at Charlotte.
2 by 2, barreling down the front stretch and into turn 1. It is Varney with the advantage, but Tripp's going to come roaring back here on the inside line. Watch the push that the 24 gets to the 1 down the backstretch.
That 890 of TJ Moon has gotten himself back to the bumper of the 12, but that outside line just holds that little bit more momentum as they come out of the corners. Tripp has the advantage on the inside. He's able to pull ahead a little bit as the 1 once again gets loose out of turn 4. 2 laps to go, folks.
What a show we are being treated to here at a place that means so much to so many stock car racers. And these guys are determined to put on a show as they are going to make some contact. It's Tripp. Is he going to hold on? He will. Somehow they keep it all straight, Greg.
Tripp holds onto it as Greg Birch has a little bit of a blink. He's a lone car on that outside line now as they come back to take the white flag. That 24 is all over the bumper of Brandon Varney. As they come one more time around, is he going to give him the move? Is he going to push him around? We have to wait and see.
It'll be either bring back the trophy or bring back the steering wheel for the 1 machine, as he's got his mirror full of the number 24 of Chris Myers. Can Varney hold him off, barreling down the backstretch?
Coming down the backstretch at Charlotte one more time. Brandon Varney, your leader, the 24 of Chris Myers, all over his bumper, shoving him with every bit that he can. Here comes Kenny Tripp, looking to the inside, jumps it to the outside, not able to make the move. Give the win to Brandon Varney once again as we see contact between the 12 and 890 coming across the line. Brandon Varney, Chris Myers, Kenny Tripp, TJ Moon, and Greg Birch putting on a heck of a finale here for the last 15 laps of this race. Zach, I'm out of breath.
I mean, they saved all the good stuff here for the end, folks. We are so glad that you tuned in here and were able to watch this with us, because what a special moment for some of these drivers out here tonight to finish this one strong. Talk about ending it on a great note. These guys really pulled out all the stops tonight.
Absolutely. That was a fantastic finish that we saw. You know, these guys finally figured out what this car wanted to do, and they were able to race themselves exactly as they wanted. And especially in the end, we saw the advantage that Varney had, winning 2 weeks ago at the short track of Lanier. And Chris Myers puts together a fantastic race. He kept himself clean, kept himself up front, and he was able to get there to finish in P2 tonight.
Yeah, great effort by him, being able to kind of put a whole one together, right, and not get marred by bad luck. And there were certainly opportunities for that to happen for him tonight, and he was able to keep it straight. And then Kenny Tripp, you got to feel for him with 2 laps to go. Somehow didn't wreck the whole field there, barreling down the backstretch. Managed to keep it straight, just couldn't keep the car underneath him for that whole time. Just really aggressive bump in there at the end, but ultimately a great show with these guys.
Absolutely, Zach. And we're pulling up your race winner tonight here at the Navy 100 at Charlotte. Brandon Varney, congratulations on your win, man. Tell us about your race.
I had to pit because I didn't know if we were gonna make it on fuel. So I'm glad I pit when I did. It put my mind at ease, and just staying out of trouble is the main game, I guess.
Yeah, we were talking about that all night. Is these cars really were able to draft so well with each other that we saw the tandem draft come into play. Was that something you guys knew about before getting in here tonight and before taking that green flag, or was that something y'all found once you got started?
Yeah, I knew if you're in a pack, you're good, but you gotta trust the guys around you. You gotta pay attention left and right, and I'm fortunate enough to have the right guys around me at the end of the run.
Absolutely, man. We heard the tires at the end of this race screaming for the folks, not just on the bottom, but even on that middle line. With one set of tires that you only had, how were your tires holding up for you?
Yeah, it was tough. They were definitely worn by the end of the run. If I had known that, I would have tried to save a little more, but it's good to know next time. But yeah, I don't think they're very good at the end of the race.
Well, you won 2 weeks ago at Lanier on a short track. You now come to a mile and a half in what we've dubbed a crown gemstone event for you guys here. What can you attribute and what did you learn last week that you were able to pull to this week, if there was anything at all?
Just the experience around these guys, trusting Chris. Chris is awesome to race with. Just everybody that was up around Elijah. Us early on, I was hoping we weren't going to get a yellow because we would leave the field, but yeah, I'm glad it turned out this way.
Well, Brandon, you got a week and then you're at Thompson next week, a week from tonight. You go back to the short track racing, do you feel at home there? What do you need to do to prepare for next week?
I guess do what I did last year with this league. I won there last year, led 60 laps, so I'll try to duplicate that as hard as it is.
Well, Brandon, you had a fantastic race tonight. You were up front. Who do you need to thank for helping you get to victory lane here?
Oh, I gotta thank Grandpa and Fleabag. I'm pretty sure they're watching tonight. My papa watching at home. My grandmother's in the hospital right now, so this one goes out to her. Everybody who's gonna help me this year on the modified Henry's Concrete, temp setters, mainly mobile, just everybody who's helping us out this year in real life, and who my fiance for giving me time to do this. Can't thank that enough either.
No, absolutely, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, your winner here tonight in the Navy 100 in that number one machine, taking it home number one tonight, Brandon Varney. Congratulations again, man.
Thank you, buddy.
And Zach, I believe you have our second place finisher of Chris Myers.
Hey, Chris, it's Zach up here in the booth. You put on a great show there in the last 15 laps or so. I've been watching you across a couple different disciplines here for SCL. It's been a little while since I've talked to you up here in the booth. You finally put a whole one together. Talk to us about your night.
What was that? I couldn't. These guys were talking in the sim real quick. What did you say?
All right. Well, talk to the fans about your evening tonight.
Oh, pretty much. I qualified pretty good. Started, near the front. Had a little bit of trouble there on one of the restarts. We kind of had a little checkup issue, and I thought I had a little bit of damage and kind of wanted to get out of the chaos a bit, so I pit. Got a little bit of fuel, which actually ended up taking me to the end there, and came back out. Started in the rear. Worked my way back up, and wasn't really sure who I was going to work with there at the end. I think those three guys, I think TJ Wood, Kenny, and Varney, I think they're all kind of together. So I could see TJ trying to get by me on the inside. So I kind of let him have it there and went up high and used a little bit of side draft, and finally, got up beside Kenny and was able to pull Varney up to the top with me and pushed him there. And I was okay with, staying behind them guys right there to the last couple laps, and it was fun. It was real fun. Us top four there running those last couple laps side by side like that was really, really fun. And I want to apologize that little bit of contact we had there at the end, but trying to get all we can there, it's a lot.
Well, you put on a great show for everybody watching out here on YouTube. So certainly you did a great job being able to keep the car underneath you for the last 15. Taking a look forward into next week 2 weeks rather from now at Thompson for your next event. Any thoughts about that racetrack?
Yeah, Thompson's fun. It's I like the short tracks with these street stocks. The bigger tracks with them is fun. The drafting's fun and all, but you get back down to the roots with these cars and what they're made for, and them short tracks. So it's a lot more fun there.
All right. Well, I'm sure you have a number of thank you, sponsors, and shout outs for the second place effort here tonight.
Always, you know me, guys. I appreciate you guys at Racing Media. Y'all put on some great broadcasts. I know somebody had said it, I think last night. Some of the, best broadcasts that I've seen anywhere you can find. So thank you for that. Thank you for SCL for putting on the league, and also WJM Motorsports for sponsoring the league. yeah, it's a lot of fun here. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Well, Chris, you certainly earned this one tonight. P2, go enjoy it.
I appreciate it, guys. I hope everybody watching enjoyed it. Try to put on a show for y'all.
And that will be your second place finisher here tonight, Chris Myers, as we bring back up into the broadcast booth this time instead of being down on pit road. Buddy, welcome back. Congratulations on a third place finish. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Tripp. Not Kenny Tripp. Where's Kenny?
No, they're talking right now over what happened coming to the start finish line.
All right. Well, thank you, TJ. We'll be right back with hopefully Kenny Tripp. Let's wait and see if Kenny's going to be able to jump in with us here tonight. Well, while all this is going on, we're going to wait and see if Kenny does join us. But for now, we'll pull up your overall results for tonight's race. Your winner tonight is Brandon Varney. Takes home P1 tonight. Chris Myers will bring home second place, and Kenny Tripp, like we said, it will be your third place finisher. TJ Moon finishes in fourth with a great run himself in that 890 machine. Greg Birch comes home in P5 in that 51, not pitting all night. Does a great job to keep fuel and keep damage off of that car. P6 goes to Joshua Dube. Alejandro Montes Dioca, I believe is how we were pronouncing it tonight, takes home P7 in that 855 machine. P8 is Elijah Gracia. Daryl Redford takes home P9, and Austin Winch rounds out your top 10. Nasir Navarrete rounds out P11. Shane O'Neill comes home in P12. P13 is Shane O'Neill. P14 is Todd Russ. Joshua Broadwell rounds out P15. Andrew Miller comes home in 16th. And 17th is Josh Terrett Hill tonight. 18th goes to David Hanna. Coming home in 19th will be Matthew Fanoff in that Navy machine. Coming home in 20th, Brian Edwards. Perry Vance in 21st. Kevin Preston, 22nd. Eli Ropa comes home in 23rd. Barrett Flo, after having a great race 2 weeks ago, comes home tonight in P24. And Jesse Carpenter comes home 25th. John Broncasio comes home in 26th. And the last car to make laps here tonight is Jeffrey Beck. And Bradley Stefane never turned a lap here tonight, folks. Well, Zach, we're going to wait and see, as we now have Kenny Tripp joining us, this time not on pit road, but up in the booth with us. Had a little bit of a delay getting you up here, buddy, but congratulations on P3.
Well, thank you very much. It was definitely a tough race. Something happened right at the start-finish line coming to the checkered, and it just, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I'll take third. Brandon Varney, we work well together. I actually crew chief for him on, not crew chief, but spot for him on in Real Racing. So we work well together, and we had a plan, and it worked out.
Well, we talked to you beforehand after Lanier, where you took home P3. You bring it home P3 again here tonight. Tell us about your car, man.
Car was good. I had some damage early on. Sorry about that. I had a decent car. Gotten a couple little, squaps. It had some right front damage I had to fix. I didn't end up using a fast repair at all, but I was able to just take time and take to the pit. You don't go a lap down under yellow, so I just took all the time I needed and fixed it and drove my way back up through. Stayed out of trouble.
Well, man, you go next week to Thompson, another short track here. What are your expectations going into that race?
Pretty high. I do well there typically. I shouldn't. Should knock on wood or don't jinx myself. But I love that track. I love the way that track races. So I expect a decent finish. And this year is all about consistency for me. I'm just trying to be more consistent and doing the right things when I need to.
Absolutely, man. Well, congratulations once again on P3. Who do you need to thank for tonight's performance?
I got to thank Main Mobile, Josh Doobie, Tem Setters, Brandon Varney, the whole Varney Racing. My dad watching. My mom, Brandon mentioned it. She's in the hospital right now, so hopefully she'll watch this at some point. Wife, just everyone. You guys for putting this on. There's a boatload of people that behind the scenes that do this for us. Just give us an opportunity to come out and have fun, and here we are. So I thank everyone, and we'll see you at Thompson in a week.
Absolutely, man, and we wish you and your family the best right now as you guys are kind of going through this right now. Make sure you keep us posted, and hopefully everything works itself out soon. But congratulations once again, man, on your P3 finish. Go celebrate with your friends and family, man.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Well, Zach, that's going to do it for us. Finishing this race in the Crown Gem event of the Navy 100 here at Charlotte. It's been a pleasure, my friend, to be up in the booth with you. I believe, though, that we will be back to your regularly scheduled broadcaster in Frank Marchese. Will be here next week. Zach, do you have any closing comments tonight?
You did a great job, Greg. It was it's been a pleasure up here working with you and being able to bring SCL to life here for these guys. It's such a great league, and man, we were treated with a great one here in the last 15 laps. So it all turned out great, and being able to do it at such a great venue with drivers that really know one another and really trust one another. Those are the ingredients for good racing, and I'm so glad we got to see it tonight.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. These guys know each other. They trust each other. They want to go out and race each other as hard as they can, and that's what I was able to see in my 2 races filling in for Frank here with this Street Stock Series. These guys are competitive, and they're good. These are some of the best Street Stock drivers that I have seen on the server, especially league-wise, and they've done so well being able to do everything that we've seen them do in the 2 weeks I've been here, and I know the rest of the season they are going to be very competitive and very aggressive and put on for some fantastic shows. Well, Zach, once again, man, thank you for letting me be up in the booth with you. Thank you for helping to hold down the fort through all of this. And we want to remind everybody to make sure you keep your eye out. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and YouTube to see all the great content that SRM puts out there from the Street Stock Series through Cup Series, Truck Series, Road Racing. We've got it all here at SRM, and we want to make sure you guys are able to hear us whenever we do go live and see the content that you want to see. Thank you, everybody that joined us in chat here tonight. But we want to leave you with one final reminder before we close the door on this Crown Gem event. We want to remind you to keep your foot to the floor, keep your car off the wall, and we'll see you back here at SRM. Good night, everybody.